A ja witam w studiu.
And let me welcome to the studio the spiritus movens of the whole project, the director of the office of the Henryk Association in Poznań is Ewa Mikołajczak. Well, what is your take at this special edition? It's in a perfect time, or special time. Well, I feel I'm the head of a team, but is the whole team who make this competition is a small team, just 6 people. So the vastness of work that you need to do in such a small group is really dazzling. So I'm so happy that we are here at the end. Okay, what is specific about this round, about this edition? Well, it differs from the previous ones in everything. First, for the 13 times, it was a very small event, a chamber event, intimate event, because this milieu is small. It was an international competition with proper setting and proper audience, but you know, it's a bit harder than in the case of the violin competition to break through to the big world. Now, a pandemic occurred. It made our life hard, but it also made us think differently about this competition. It got much more media hyped because this is the only way that we can get to any people. They are outside. Just because this violin competition is held, well, is supposed to be held next year due to the pandemic, as this year it was impossible, we have much more time and we can devote it, and we do devote it, to the promotion of the violin making competition. We have a breather, but also much more work because we're trying to have each event in this competition reach as many people as possible. We know that there is no audience in the hall, but are there some other elements which are missing and that have always been there before? That is a hard question. Well, there is a certain continuity of various events that accompany the competition. For example, the post-competition exhibition in the National Museum, and it's held for the 2nd time, so the continuity is there. There are also some accompanying events. There's the exhibition in the yard of the municipality. It's inspired by the violin, but it's just a one-off thing. These are works by Igor Morski, who designed our playing cards. Henryk was a gambler, so we decided to use some of those weaknesses of his. Those playing cards are going to be usable. We are now working on those. We are going to release them. Well, we will make the public release for the people who would like to have them. And to tell you the truth, this competition has its tradition and it follows a certain rhythm. We're trying not to break it. Now, I knew that there was always a party with the violin makers. What was it? Well, violin makers are generally considered as introverts. They bring their instruments to the competition. They are usually proficient in playing those. There's usually that night when all the official contest is over and it's so-called artists' party. Well, many of those people come from Podhale, so there's plenty of music. It's really big bang and you do it well. You really do it. Well, we don't have it this time, but I hope that next time we'll be able to return to this beautiful tradition. This is the oldest violin-making competition in the world. Yes, it is. How come you have it? How come it started? Well, it started in 1957. It was initiated because of the need of the moment. After the war, it turned out that Poland was robbed of the majority of the good instruments that we had before the war. And as more ensembles, more orchestras were developing, were set up, well, musicians had nothing to play on. So you needed a way to activize the market of making those instruments. It wasn't a big market at the time in Poland. And It was initiated immediately as an international competition. You had entrants from all over the world already in the first year. It was initiated by Professor Zdzisław Schulz, who at the time was in charge of violin making and the collection in Poznań, and it proved such a big success that all the following rounds, all the following ones were just following with the momentum. And it proved a great idea. Now there are many others in the world. Is this one of the most important? This is one of the four that the violin makers consider most important. One is in Cremona, it's the cradle of making. So it's obvious there's Wittenwald, there's Paris, there is the one in Beijing. There are quite a few of them, and they differ one from another because some of them are only for violins, others are also for other stringed instruments. Some also assess bows as a different category of assessing. So here it's violins only, and these are violins which are highly traditional. There is no space for extravaganza, no freestyle, no. It's only classical instruments category. So we really keep to this imperial standard. Absolutely. How do you cooperate with the violin makers? Are they difficult to break to? How about personality types? Do you have any special experiences? Is it different with the violinists and different with violin makers? There must be a bit difference. Well, you know, a violinist comes on stage, they travel the world, they have contacts on different continents. Generally, they are the traveling type, so they are quite specific also in the way of communicating. They are all over the world, they have easy access to places, they find it easy to move around, and they cope in many contexts. It's different about the instrument makers, they work in isolation. Talking to the young people, you know, this is changing. And indeed, the general image of a violin maker is that of a person who is, of course, an expert in near magic arts and crafts. They have their favorite tools, they have a plethora of different pieces of wood around them, some secret potions which are difficult to tell apart for you and me, and out of that they magic out an instrument with magnificent sound. Of course there's a stereotype, and yes, there are some like those, but there are also those who are really media personalities who know how to promote their work, they cope in the big wide world, they do interesting things, they use social media, just like our winner, the hero of this year's competition. Tell me, did you have any contact with Piotr before? Did you observe the career path? As he is a Polish violin maker, young, but he's not a teenager any longer. Generally, he is a mature man. For quite a time, in different circumstances, we've seen him. Of course, it's so that he is now for the first time here as a star, but 5 years ago, he also won the Best Sound Prize, so the sound is his hallmark, yes? All right, now, how many instruments were sent in this year? It's quite a complex question, because before this competition happened, you didn't really know whether we will manage to do it. Originally, there were 135 entrants. We don't know precisely their origin. And then finally, after verification, there were 88 of those. Of course, due to the pandemic, different people would give up this early access to the competition. Well, unfortunately, out of the 88, not all of them managed to do it. It's not the maker who sends it. It's sent by a trusted person or by a courier. So in most cases, those instruments had to be sent. And for a maker, sending something like that is huge stress. You know, you can't control the travel. And finally, we had 72 instruments that qualified. What countries? I don't know that. We are only now opening the envelopes with information about the instruments that didn't win prizes. So we don't know that, but I know that there are 14 countries at least. Are they from all over the world? Well, there is a representative of North America, there is Asia represented, there's Europe. As far as I know, there's no Africa. And all the instruments are presented anonymously. It's the specific characteristic of those. Yes, it's anonymous to the end until all the results have been tallied up. When we know who the winner is, we open the envelopes and we learn who the makers are. And of course, this time we followed suit. Ewa, congratulations with the preparation of such a fantastic competition and with such a result. It turns out that the Polish violin-making school fares well. Oh, it fares perfectly well. Must be one of the best schools in the world. Today I heard a comment from one of the members of the jury that one perfect maker proved a great personality of this specific competition, and that it is no coincidence that 2 of his instruments, but 3 prizes went to him. As young people say it, he broke the system. Thank you very much for that interview. Thank you.